working. Hey, good
Yeah,
morning,
says live stream.
everybody. We are live, and we want to wish everybody a great day. We are live with some Kitzur Shulchan Aruch Torah, and this is a daily learning in honor of a refuah shlema for all those who need healing and complete recovery. And specifically, we have in mind today a bunch of folks who could use healing. And feel free to send us names, and we can add them to our list of folks. I just visited with Ruth Bat Sarah yesterday, stage 4 lung cancer, and Meshever for Shlema, Herschel Mendel Chaim ben Sheva, Yitzchak ben Dvorah, Dina bat Mindel, Aaron Ber ben Gittel, Amram ben Shoshana, Daniel ben Dvorah, Mai bat Sarah Chaim, David ben Esther, Azrael Alon, and Moshe ben Sarah, Bat Sheva Bracha Bas Chaya Bas Sarah, Rina bat Etel Nachum ben Herschel Celia, Michael Lev ben Zipporah, Abram Shimon ben Sarah Leah, Emmanuel ben Juliet, Harry ben Lillian, Benjamin Sarah, Andrew ben Lester, Naftali Hirsch ben Rachel, David ben Sophia, Lynn bas Leah, Maya bas Sarah, Yossel ben Leah, Benjamin ben Sarah for Shlema. And it's important to learn halacha every day. Today, though, the halachas are things that you don't need to do anything, right? You just have to watch what you say, and you can follow in good footsteps. So we are on chapter 30 in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. We are paragraph number 3. Ad heichen lashon hara. Now, we've just learned these different stages of what is lashon hara. Talking about other people and even relating information which could be true. Even that can be a problem because even relating true information can cause animosity and can cause enmity between people. And all the more so, of course, relating information which isn't true, right? Or derogatory information. That's stuff we're supposed to avoid as well. So, but maybe is like we were concerned yesterday. Wondered, maybe there's nothing we can say. Maybe everything is. We just have to talk about the weather and the birds on our porch. Ad heichen lashon hara. To what length do we have to go to avoid speaking lashon hara? Ana emsa esh. So we're going to give a little example. You ask your friend, where can I get some fire? This is not a question that we ask very often, I guess, unless you're smoking a cigarette. And he says, "Va'amar heicha nimtza eish." I'll tell you, where to find fire. But bais pliny in so and so's house. Sheyesh lo harbe basav dagim. He's got tons of fish and meat. Umavashlim sham tamin. He's always cooking there. Okay, right. So even this, which seems like seems like totally innocuous information, but he did it in a way where he makes all these implications about the guy, right? He could have said, um, uh, you know, Shimon's got fire at his house, but then he says, oh, and he's always cooking, right? And like for example, now maybe it'll get out that he's always cooking and he's got lots of money, and so forth. Now all of a sudden he's going to be inundated with all these requests for people, for assistance, and that maybe wasn't the right thing to have done. Okay, so we have to be cautious in our words. Of course, we shouldn't avoid talking. We shouldn't avoid talking to people. We choose our words carefully. Okay, number 4, v'yesh dvarim shem avak lashon hara. So we have lashon hara, which is obvious things, and then there are things which are called avak, which literally means dust of lashon hara, and dust is things which are not specifically themselves lashon hara, but they are adjacent to lashon hara, and we want to avoid those also. Amar tiknu miploni. So we're going to give an example. Okay, he's going to say, let's not talk about so and so. Any right idea mash ere umashaya. Okay, let's not talk about that guy. I don't want to talk about what happened. Okay, so here, I don't want to talk about it. And we say this all the time, or we can say it is said all the time. So the first case is a case where somebody asked you about something, and the reply implied that something wasn't okay, right? Right? You didn't say anything. Excuse me. You said, I don't want to talk about it, but the reply implies that there's something wrong. A person speaking and praising the good character traits of somebody, but they're doing it in front of somebody who is it says Sainav, so which literally means enemy, but it doesn't have to be like a mortal enemy, right? Just could be somebody who, you're not, not friendly with, right? That it's a person you're not friendly with, but meanwhile you're relating to information. Kitzer and coffee, gotta have the coffee. Excuse me. This kind of a statement is called the dust of lashon hara. Because what's going to happen? I'm praising this guy Shimon in front of somebody who doesn't like him. He's go, really? Well, that's not the Shimon I know is the guy who ripped off da 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 da. It's going to start this whole process of relating negative information, and we want to avoid that. Val zeh ha'inyan amar, and on this situation, Shloimeh mevarech reu bekol gadol. Excuse me. Shlomo. So, which Shlomo? Whenever it just says Shlomo, it always means King Solomon, right? Ve'alze inyan amar Shlomo mevarach reu bekol gadol. On this, King Solomon said in Proverbs, one that praises their friend with a loud voice when rising in the morning. Okay. Baboker hashkem klala techashev lo shemitoch toivaso bali de ra'eso. So what's wrong with this? A person who praises their friend with a loud voice and rises early in the morning, it will be considered a curse for him. So what is this? This alludes to the eagerness with which this refers to the eagerness where he's singing this guy's praises, and it will end up being a curse for the guy, because when you start praising somebody and praising them, it can lead to harm, right? Because well, we can go into it a little bit, but I think what Melech Shlomo is saying is that all of this kind of can bring on negativity, right? When you're making everybody aware of certain amazing things about a person, it can, you have to be careful, be cautious to not bring on negativity in that regard. Also, there's what we've initiated now is all these different kinds of direct lashon hara, or the avak lashon hara, which is indirect. But what if you deliver the lashon hara in kind of a joking way, right? Like in a fun way, just making fun. That I'm not right. I'm not speaking out of hatred, right? I'm just having fun. Oh yeah, that guy's always late. He probably doesn't even have a watch or something. But meanwhile, it's a big put down, even though you're doing it in a joking way. So you gotta be careful of those kind of things. Kamosh ena medaber sanai hu sheshloima amar bechachmaso shemistal shemistlal leha hayora zikim chitzim v'mavetz v'aimer haloi misakek ani. What is he talking about? So we're back to King Solomon, right? And King Solomon in Proverbs, which is Mishle in Hebrew, Melech Shlomo said, a person who pretends to play, but really they're shooting firebrands, arrows, and death, right? And they say, well, I'm only joking, right? So let's leave comedians to the side for a moment, right? Right? We're just having fun. Yeah, we're just having a good time. I'm just, this in and of itself, we have to be careful because when we're quote unquote having fun, we might be actually shooting arrows and firebrands. And also you have to be careful. The Ramus. Ramus is like in a sly or clever way, right? Like I'm only doing you disguise it as in a very innocent way. So that right, you do it in this kind of sly way, right? And then if somebody were to say, "You can't say that. That's lashon hara." Oh, I didn't realize that was slander, right? Right. So again, a person might think that they can outwit the Torah, right? They can outwit. I didn't. I just it's just innocent. I didn't know, but we all know that uh, when a person is relating information about another, there's a lot of opportunity for lashon hara, and we have to be cautious because even doing it in a kind of kind way or in a sly way, so that maybe it's not obvious to other people, all of these ways um, can be considered actual lashon hara. Okay, we're going to do one more halacha. We're on number 5. That is paragraph 5. You relate lashon hara, uh, but let's say you did it in front of the person or not in front of the person. Misaper devarim shegormim im nishma'u ish mipi ish. Or let's say he tells things that would cause damage to somebody else, right? Either in front of the person or for the person. Lazik chaveru begufo b'mana, whether it would harm him in a monetary manner or in a physical manner. Vafilu l'hatzer lo o l'hafchido harei lashon hara. Let's say he only wanted to frighten the person or annoy the person, right? All this is lashon hara. In other words, because a person might think, you know what, I'm not doing it in the guy's presence, or might think the opposite. Hey, he's right there; he can defend himself, you know. So the, it doesn't. The circumstances of the object of the person, the person who's the object of this scorn or lashon hara, being in the presence does not absolve one from the obligation to speak to the person and about people in the right way. Right? Let's say that, so this is a concept in halacha, that something was said before 3 people. It is literally taken as 3 people, but it's also a concept of when something becomes publicly knowledgeable and aware, publicly known, and aware. When 3 people have heard it, again, that's the litmus test, is this idea of 3 people, but it refers to anything which is widely known. And of course, today we understand that information travels very quickly. Then we say that this thing, whatever it is already public knowledge. So now we're talking about an issue of public knowledge, right? Before we're talking about something, all of this was something which is not public knowledge, right? Not everybody knew that they were divorced before, or not everybody knew that they lost their job, or not everybody knew that they're fabulously wealthy and always have a fire and are always cooking meat and fish, right? We're talking about some private, those are all issues which were, until the person relayed them, were generally considered private information. So now we're turning and saying, well, what about stuff which is known? What about well-known things? I saw it on TV, or it's in a newspaper article, or something happened in a public place that everybody saw, right? Can we talk about those things? Do those things constitute lashon hara or not? Okay, so this idea of three people is just the way of the Torah referring to something which is public knowledge. So now you've got something which is public knowledge. Now we're talking about these actual people who are the witnesses of this issue, and they talk about this matter. So now this one of those people who were the eyewitnesses of this, and they tell somebody else, it's not considered lashon hara, as long as they didn't do it in a way that they wanted to further publicize it and kind of give it some juiciness and to the idea of creating juicy gossip, right? But they did it in a way that was in a beneficial way, like, oh, it was, very upsetting. So and so got sick at shul and had to be rushed to the hospital, right? So public knowledge can be discussed, but it has to be done in a way and a little beyond the scope of today's talk. What do you do about, let's say, public figures, right, and so forth? That we could discuss towards the end of the chapter. So what should you do? What should you do? It seems there's so much, we've only gone through a little bit of it, right? What should a person do to not fall into speaking lashon hara? If the person is a studious person, a learned person, yes, they should spend their time studying Torah, doing things which they're not going to get them into rumor mongering or gossip and so forth. And if they're a regular person, they're a person who's not a scholarly person, he says, Yashpil da'ato. They should they should be a more humble person, right? Because at part of the root of lashon hara, and this is not what the Kitzur's necessarily saying, but I believe it's what it is implying, is a certain sense that a person feels a superiority over another person, or in order for them to feel better, they have to put down another person. But if a person develops a level of humility, and that becomes their psyche, is they're a person who's a humble person, right? Doesn't mean meek, doesn't mean weak, just means humble, realizing that everything's from Hashem. So then they're not running to talk about other people. They're not running to pass on negative information. Okay, that's a beautiful little lesson there from the Kitzur, and wish everybody a wonderful day, and please God, we'll all be back tomorrow. And daily Torah learning, to remind us all, daily Torah learning is one of the best things that we can do with our day, even just a few minutes. Have a great